So Russell Ponting is going to take us all the way back to 1980s Mt Eliza.
Thank you, Bryce. Weird and interesting. Okay, so yes, back to 1984 to a town about an hour out of Melbourne called Mt Eliza on the Mornington Peninsula. Very conservative, very, very, very white bread. And I'm 16 and I want to be a lawyer and I want to be the Prime Minister of Australia for the conservative side of politics. Or so I thought. One night I was channel surfing. Pretty easy in those days, there were 5 channels. Okay, and I came across a show called Rock Arena and they were playing a concert by U2. And this was before U2 was the big, fat, bloated, ego-driven mess that it currently is. They were genuinely exciting and raw, and I was so excited. I'd never heard anything like it. It was top 40 for me. So I immersed myself in this alternative music. Nick Cave, The Cure, etc., etc. Right? Very quickly I became a goth punk. And then I read a book called The Outsiders by Albert Camus. And I became a goth punk existentialist. Hell of a lot of fun to be around, I can tell you. All right, but that set my path. So I wanted to study philosophy at Melbourne Uni. And I spent my entire VC year dreaming of going to Melbourne to study philosophy at Melbourne Uni. And I got into philosophy at Melbourne Uni in '86. And I quickly realised it was all a bit too much for me. Okay, I had culture shock coming from this little white bread place up to, I don't know if you can have culture shock in Melbourne, but I did. All right. So I deferred and I went back home. And I read a lot of books and I listened to a lot of alternative music. And I helped a friend build a skate ramp. Okay, so of course my parents were overjoyed by this. And everyone was saying, what are you doing building a skateboard ramp? You will never get a job out of that. Okay, so this skateboard ramp actually became a bit of a mecca for Melbourne skaters. There were two brothers called the Hill Brothers. Okay, remember those names, Stephen and Peter Hill. They were like the king of the skateboard kids. Okay, and so they'd come down and I'd chat to them. I was never a skateboarder. Okay, I survived skateboarding. It's a vehicle for me to fall flat in my face. That's basically what it is. Okay, so built a skateboard ramp, went back to uni, had recalibrated, was fine. And I did philosophy. Part of my philosophy and history studies was the history and philosophy of feminism. Okay, so people would say, why are you doing philosophy? You'll never get a job out of that. So, well, I'm learning how to think. They go, okay, why are you doing feminism? You will certainly never get a job out of that. All right? And this was at a time, and I walked into class, and I was the only guy doing this women's studies, okay? And it's mid-80s in Melbourne, and they're dungaree-clad, militant lesbian separatists are my classmates, okay? So a bit of a baptism of fire. Anyway, I think they eventually warmed to me, no more than that, but fair enough. Okay, so I'm sitting there going, what am I going to do? Maybe I'll be a teacher. All right, so I went through uni, I graduated, and I wanted to be a teacher, but it was the start of the 90s and there was a big recession going on. And no one was employing teachers. So I thought, oh, well, there goes that. What do I do now? So I bummed around for a bit and I got an opportunity to do a 4-week box packing job in the Stussy warehouse in Melbourne. Now Stussy was like, it's the grandfather of streetwear. And this is where my career as a yes man started, okay? So I just kept saying yes to things. Would you like to do another 4 weeks? Yep. Would you like to get involved in production? Why not? Yep. Etc., etc. When was it? 2000. Stussy was sold to Globe International. And I was trotted into a room and there were the Hill brothers. Okay? Peter and Stephen Hill. And they remembered me. And they remembered the skateboard ramp down in Mt Eliza. So building a skateboard ramp helped me get a job. Okay? Now, they said, do you want to get involved in marketing? I said, well, I say yes all the time, so yes. Okay, and that led to an amazing 10-year ride. Okay, would you like to take a group of American skateboarders up and down the East Coast in a Tarago? Why not? What could possibly go wrong? Okay, we went across, we did that. I've done photo shoots in all over the place. Shanghai, Berlin. I've been to trade shows in Berlin and Barcelona. I've travelled Tokyo, you name it, Los Angeles, London, living the life of the international marketer. Because you marketers know that's what we do, yeah? We just live the dream, okay? Amazing. And some surreal moments as well. So chaperoning Tony Hawk around the Globe World Cup of skateboarding. So biggest skateboarder in the world. I'm chaperoning him around. Robbie Williams, you all know Robbie Williams? Like, massive entertainer. Walking through the Globe warehouse, personal shopping with him whilst he's on a pair of white roller skates, flanked by two massive African-American bodyguards. Okay? So then, I got made redundant, as all good marketers do. But look, I'd made a career of saying yes, and it was funny that every time I said yes, another opportunity would arise. And I'd say yes, and an opportunity. And the more opportunities that came, the more times I said yes, there'd be an opportunity to say yes to. So redundancy was an opportunity for me to start my own business, or two, in fact. I'm in a brand consultancy and an off-price streetwear website. And they were going okay. And I got a phone call one Friday, from a Dr. Mika Leppens saying, I'm going to be down in Melbourne next week. Want to come in for an interview? So, okay. Yes. Okay, I say yes. And I was trotted into this room by this, what I thought was a rather stern Belgian French lady. I didn't quite know at the time. And we sat down, and most of the interview was about history and philosophy of feminism. So that got me a job. Okay. So we fast forward 5 years, and I kept saying yes, and somehow I fooled enough people into being convinced that I could be a program director. And re-reg comes up. So a fairly important time in the organisation's history, wouldn't you say, Linda? Just, on the scale of things, fairly important. And I'm trotted into a room. I was told, I didn't actually get a chance to say yes to this one. I was told, you're the design head for Melbourne campus for re-reg. All right. What could go wrong? All right. So I'm trotted into a room and talk about imposter syndrome, okay? Everyone was a dean, a pro-vice-chancellor, minimum education was PhD, like techs of boards there. I think I did okay, so I walked out of there with two things. I hadn't fucked it up, stuffed it up, I should say. Stuffed it up. And Linda wasn't going to kick me down the fire escape and out and never be seen again. But I also walked out thinking, wow, this organisation has really grown up. Okay, it's a really grown-up institution. In Helmut Luckenhausen's immortal words, are we there yet? No, but how far have we come? Okay? So, to coin the marketing phrase, why do I love what I do? Well, I don't love spreadsheets. Okay, I don't love PowerPoint demonstrations. I certainly don't love email. But I'm very, very aware of the privilege that I've had. Amazingly safe upbringing, colour of my skin, my gender. That's allowed me to say yes to opportunities. Okay? But there's a lot of people who don't have those opportunities. Why do I love what I do in this now grown-up organisation? Is that we can give people opportunity. So my hope is that in 10, 20, 30 years' time, Bryce, if you're still around, we'll call up one of our students and say, would you like to tell our story, your story? And the student will say, yes, of course. And they'll be talking about opportunity, luck, serendipity, and the opportunities that they've been given that they might otherwise not have been. Thank you.